a bit more time going in the offensive. So not purely reactive, not purely defensive, and really going to act as a hacker, as a malicious person with malicious intents, and replicate scenarios, but do this, please, in a safe way. You can't break your system. You can't break your systems. You can't break your services to your customers. You have to do this always very, very safely. So where can we situate a breach and attack simulation? So this is a graph. You have frequency of execution on the vertical axis and the thoroughness of the test on the horizontal axis. So vulnerability assessments are low risk. We can do those continuously on a production system, and it's a safe way to do. The only problem is it's not very, very thorough. It's quite often executed by humans, so you have only a limited amount of time to spend on that. We also have, on the other end of the spectrum, we have pre-deployment security testing, which is often done with devices that need to be put on the network. They can go through a series of testing. Your software can go through a series of testing, and your services, the combination of your softwares, can also go through a series of pre-deployment security testing. That's also low risk because you're not in production yet. You're still testing. It's periodically, it's pre-deployment, and it's also safe. And then we go to what basically everybody knows that it exists, pen testing, penetration testing. But that's, of course, a higher risk. It can also be done periodically, but at which frequency, that depends. It is typically executed towards the production environment. It is very comprehensive, but it can be very, very complex. These are people that need a lot of knowledge about applications, about operating systems, about systems in general, to be able to do pen testing. And this is typically the responsibility of a red team. Not every company, not every organization has a red team available. And then we have, of course, our breach and attack simulation, which is also low risk, which is also safe, which can be done on production. It's in a production state, but it's not a production machine. It is a machine that sits next to your production machines. So it's in the same security trust zone. You will see, I will give you an example of a deployment. We typically have an agent in each trust zone. So you don't need an agent on 70, 77 systems. Sometimes a few suffice, but they have to be aligned with your boundaries of your trusted zones and your untrusted zones. Okay? And the good news is that the service, breach and attack simulation as a service, is offered by Heinen. So you don't have to, if you don't have the people skills or whatever you want, you don't have the time to run breach and attack simulation yourself, you can also ask for it as a managed service. So we're also offering it as a tool, as a product, but also as a managed service. Okay, if you need more information about that, I would like to invite you to the booth of Heinen, and we can discuss what those options are. It's completely tunable to your needs. So let's go into a demo. This was supposed to be live, but apparently it is not possible. So I think you all experienced the internet quality, the access to the internet. So the network, the Wi-Fi network is down since, almost down since, since this morning. And now everybody is switching to 4G and 5G, so that's saturated now too. Those cell towers are also saturated. So I'm afraid I tried multiple times, but I have to excuse myself. I'm a techie, so I like to do things live, but I'm unable to do that. So what we are going to attack, so as I said, you can attack also Linux machines, you can attack MacBooks, whatever you like, but today we're gonna attack a Windows 11 Windows PC, which is a domain member. It's made domain member. Basically, if you put an agent on a machine, this machine has to be configured the exact same way as your workstations. Okay, so it's the same policy that needs to be applied, because it's that policy that we're gonna test on a larger scale. So if this machine is completely different, has a different version of OS, is differently patched, has different software running, we can test it, of course, but does it make sense? So it also has to make sense. And that's why it has to be identical to your machines. And you can have multiple policies, of course, depending on who's using the machine. Maybe your technical staff is using a different kind of machine than your salespeople and your accounting people. So we can have multiples, ones for each configuration for each policy. So this is a Windows 11 machine. It is compliant with the organization security policy for workstations. It is also running Microsoft 365, as many of you will probably do, and we are using as an end protection, so end device protection, we are using Microsoft Defender. So nothing fancy, right out of the box. Just make sure it is running. Of course, maybe in the next stage, we would like to go a little bit further than Microsoft Defender, want to manage it centrally or something like that. But this is now how this, it's basically a more or less a quite standalone machine for the moment. So this is our deployment. So this is basically what we have. So we have servers in AWS and in Azure. So you can also deploy, of course, agents on those, in those two regions. And then we have our headquarters and we have 2 branch offices. Okay? Everything is interconnected through a firewall. So there is no possibility to go from headquarters to branch 1 or from branch 1 to branch 2 without passing the firewall. Yeah? So this, of course, topology can vary. So we have 5 trust zones, 2 public and 3 private, and we have 1 untrusted zone. Okay? My breach and attack simulation system is living in the cloud. Yeah, we developed something, we set something up that's called dark cloud. Yeah, so this is running everything. This is running the scenarios of the external hackers. It has its own DNSs, it has its own communication and control servers, and it also has a set of malicious hosts. So if you install an agent, so first, next we have to deploy agents. So now I have deployed agents. As I said, I have an agent in each trusted zone of my network. This agent is completely isolated. We can simulate lateral movement, horizontal movement, yeah, between agents, for instance, from branch 1 to branch 2, but this is something you have to decide yourself. We will not do this spontaneously. We don't even use your DNS. We don't even use your LDAP. Everything we are using during an attack simulation will be done from the dark cloud. Okay, so it is completely safe. There is no touching of any of your production machine, because I know that's a concern. Yeah, there will be a download of malicious code. Yeah, so of course those code will be downloaded on our machine, but it will never be triggered. It will never be detonated. Yeah, so once the malicious code has been downloaded, that's it. We were able to download it, and we just don't click on it. Are we able to go in to click on it? Yes, then it's a failure. Okay, so it's a completely safe environment. And as I said, Linux, Windows, Docker, macOS, everything you want. Native Linux, you don't have to use Docker, you don't have to install a stack if you don't want. So what happened? Did something happen? Yeah, okay. This is the path that we are going to follow. So we're going to attack one of those machines that is sitting in the headquarters. So this is running an agent, and I'm going to instruct the Keysight software to attack that machine, to assess the security posture of that specific machine. Yeah, this is the desktop of the PC that we're going to attack. So as I said, I made screenshots. It has to start with the beginning. You see on the top left corner, that's my agent. Yeah. So if I click on it, I can always start and stop I can also control the start and stopping of my agent. But this is my agent running. So it's a fairly small application to install, and it also depends on sysinternals for Windows. So you also have to install sysinternals if it's not already installed on your machine. And then this software, and that's what it will bring to you. The next step will be the deployment of your agents. So this is the console of the tool of Keysight Breach and Attack Simulation, Threat Simulator. Yeah. So this is what you will see on your screen. This is now, I'm looking at agents. I clicked on agents on the left. Yeah. And then I can have a list of my agents. I will see my 5 agents deployed on which operating system, in which zone, whatever I want. But this is a topology view. And the nice thing of this software is that you see those circles in the middle of a line. Yeah, that's of course a virtual line. I can apply my security controls on the path. So if I click on this, which I can't, yeah, I think so. Did I? Yeah, voila. So I clicked on one of those balls, and you will see I can deploy my security controls. This will help me in my advisory, in my remediation, because I know what is available. Okay, I can also integrate with EDR. So our remediation will be put in context to the EDR deployed in your company and the security controls deployed in your company. And when you click on the arrow next to vendor, in this case Fortinet, because we are using Fortinet in this scenario, almost all security vendors and EDR vendors are in the list. Okay, so it's very, very unlikely that you will use one that would not be in the list. And we have generic, so in that case, we even have a solution in that sense. But that's configuration. The setting up, of course, of the agents, the indication of your security controls in the path is very important. In this case, let me go one slide back. So on the right top corner, you see a tick box. If I tick that box, he will also show me the interconnection. I get really a meshed view. I would get a meshed view of these 5 agents and the dark clouds. So I can also deploy my security controls in between my trusted zones. So if there's a combination, communication possible between 2 trusted zones, I can also indicate how those are connected together to optimize my remediation. And then, of course, the next thing we have to do is select our assessments. There are more than 20,000 attack vectors in the product. And this is one of when I started to work with the product, that I found very, very important. When there is a new vulnerability detected, it takes a couple of hours to have Keysight a assessment ready to test that vulnerability. So it's almost as quick as antivirus reaction time. Okay, there's a big, big team behind it. And that's, of course, very important for a tool like this, that you don't have to wait like half a week before you can start testing your network. And we all, the Log4j a couple of years ago, a little bit over a year ago, I think, this is something you have to be able to assess immediately on all your systems. So can someone penetrate in that way? How can we mitigate that? Okay, so I wanted to show you what we have in stock. One of the most popular ones is like file extraction through Dropbox, for instance. We also have email phishing, spear phishing. So we can also simulate that. So we are connected to a mail account. Yeah, so we can send email to your users and we can see how they react on it. Okay. But what we're going to do today is something similar. It's a kill chain assessment, a cyber kill chain. You are aware about cyber kill chain, so it's a way of defining an attack scenario. So, and it's what we try to do. We're going to try to install a Trojan on that system. Trojan that is delivered by email. So I will show you what the different steps are and what this tool basically will do. So if I click on the right side, I click on details, you will get a detailed description of what this will do in readable text, okay? In readable text, we will tell you what it is difficult to read because it's all on the bottom, yeah? So I expanded it a bit, and this is basically what this cyber kill chain is trying to do on that target machine. So the user will get an email with a malicious link. So he will get a mail. You can see that. If I was able to show you the remote desktop, you will see the mail arriving in the mailbox, okay? And you can see those steps happening on your machine. Unfortunately, to show you the remote desktop, I need a VPN, and getting a VPN in the air at this time, it's simply impossible, okay? So first of all, the user will receive an email with a malicious link. We expect the user to click on it, so we will click on it. We will simulate to click on it. Okay, so by clicking on the link, he will download a zipped file. And that zipped file will be extracted and by using a word micro. Yeah? So the user unzips and extracts a Word document from the archive, and in the Word document you will find a dropper which installs the RIT, which is a quite well-known by hackers anyway. It's a quite well-known Trojan horse. It's a Trojan. Okay. The software will also change the host firewall rules to add itself to the whitelist process, so it can communicate with the control server, and it will add itself as an auto-run process. So when you reboot your PC, that will be stay available. Okay, and then it establishes communication with the communication and control server of the hacker, and then of course all hell breaks loose. They can do whatever they like, and they can go dig in your file systems, looking for files, and starting to extract those files through a dedicated channel. It doesn't even have to upload to Dropbox or something like that. He has a dedicated channel to the communication server. So that's basically what we will do with this scenario, okay? So here you see the different steps undertaken by the software. Okay. Where am I now? So this is still my, so first, yeah, okay, this is what I wanted to do. The next thing I need to do, I need to create a scenario. So it has to be transformed into a scenario. Scenario can contain multiple assessments, can also contain just one, like in this case, it is just one. Okay, and then you can see this is what the result would be. So my attack, my kill chain is quite soon blocked. It's blocked in the delivery phase, because I was able, so the mail did arrive in the mailbox of the user, yeah, but basically it was not, it was blocked by Microsoft's Defender, yeah. So Microsoft Defender blocked the actual download of the file, so it did its work, yeah. So you can see, so my first step, my email phishing attempt, so failed. It failed from the assessment point of view. It failed because it succeeded. it failed because we succeeded in delivering the mail. Okay, I had some difficulties also interpreting this in the beginning, how to have to read this. But then you see the second line passed. So my Microsoft Defender was able to block the download of the zipped file. If this wouldn't have been the case, if I would now turn off my Microsoft Defender, and you will see it continues. Okay? And then basically, so this is now a security score for this assessment of about 50%, because we have executed 2 assessments and only one of them was successful. So that gives you a score of 50%. That's how we measure it. Okay, so this is the look on the desktop. So on the desktop, you would see that your email has been delivered. It is considered as junk, but that's an agreement between M365 and Keysight, yeah, that it's classified as being junk. And then on the right side, you can see in your messages from your operating system, this is Windows 11. If you click on your messages, you can see that MS Defense has blocked the malicious code. So it did its work. So that's a fairly simple scenario. You can make this very, very complex too. You can basically do whatever you like. Extract files, we can also extract files. And it doesn't have to be a file from us, it can also be a file from you. You can put your own files to be extracted if you like, if you want that. If you made something, for instance, on your firewall to recognize them and to block them based on a pattern, we can use your files. So it's completely tunable. Okay, and then what would be the next steps? Okay, I can of course schedule my scenario. That my scenario is not run once, but multiple times. Every hour, every day, every week, something like that. I can also integrate with SIEM, and that's very useful because we can close the circle. We now had an assessment, we have a result. Were these breaches also seen by SIEM? Yeah, so we can go to SIEM with an API, and we can look for messages that make clear that SIEM saw our attacks. Okay, so SIEM is also tested. Yeah? And then finally, you can make a report with prioritized actionable insights on how to improve your network. So to give you a small example of such a report, this is the content of such a report. Okay, with prioritization. Some of them are quite straightforward. You have to apply your patches, but we go as far as we can do to advise you in creating policies on the firewall to block all those this kind of attack. But of course, this is the question of blocking a phishing attempt. So, of course, there is a human factor on the bottom. You also have to train your people. Without the human factor, let's never forget it, there is a human factor. So you're going to have to instruct your people. Okay, so this is it. If you have more questions, I would like to invite you to the booth of Heinen. We can discuss whatever you like. I am also ready, if you like to see this demo live, just contact me and I will set up a Teams meeting with you, not across this network, but later on when I'm in the lab, I can set up a team meeting with you and we can go over the demo really live, but this wasn't live at all, okay? This is a QR code. We have a survey to fulfill. So you can fill in a survey from Keysight. If you scan this QR code, I will leave it on the screen for a while. And you can also win a prize. You can win a wireless headset, a GBL wireless headset. And that will be, the lottery will be at 4 o'clock, I think, okay? At the booth of Heinen. There is no booth of Keysight. They are at the booth of Heinen. So at 4 o'clock, you know that you have won, yes or no. There is a headset today. There is also a headset tomorrow. So this group will have a headset distributed to them. Okay? Thank you very much, and I hope to see you in the booth of Heinen.